Hello.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. You hear me okay, huh?
Yeah, everything's clear.
That's great. I was going to ask you where your dog was.
They're actually in the room, but I guess we can still hear them from here
Oh, that's fine. So there's more than one?
too. Yeah.
Two. Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. What are their names?
They're Duke and Bentley, and let me just text their dad. Okay, hopefully.
That's totally okay.
Yeah,
That's great.
that's Duke. Yep, they're Duke and Bentley. They're two mini Australian Shepherds.
Wow. Well, all right. So you had quite a day planned, yeah, for your wedding? I mean, you got married at a church. Was there anything before that?
The girls got ready at a hotel room, so we did get to have a small group of us with the makeup artist and makeup and hair.
Uh-huh.
So
That's fun.
yep. So that was half just my mom, and then half of our bridal party.
Okay, and then you went to the church.
Yep. And then we all got to the church. There, the photographer met with us. She did a sort of a fake getting ready with the guys, and then we did a first look with my now husband and my father, my dad as well.
Yeah, he's your husband now, isn't
Yeah,
he?
I'm still getting used to that. Yeah, I still call him my fiance because I just got used to saying that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I did a wedding reception with a bride who was very engaged with the whole process of planning like you were. And I would make an announcement. I say, okay, now let's get the bridesmaids up to do the bouquet toss, and she would say, okay, let's get all the bridesmaids up for the bouquet toss, and this type of thing. And then I said that I would like all married couples to please come to the dance floor. And she says, okay, all married couples,
Yeah,
hey, that's me, you know.
yeah, yeah,
And it hit her right there, hey, that's me.
yeah.
Uh, so then the ceremony was a Catholic ceremony then, right?
Yeah, it was a Catholic ceremony. As we know, everything is hosted outdoors. So our church, it was the church that I went to as a kid. My brother and I went to elementary school there. We
Uh-huh.
went to mass there since I was like 5. After college, when we kind of had our independence from our parents, had not been back to church for a while. But I think, with this new our plans to have a family in the future, I think it was something we wanted to start off with that foundation. So we went back to my old school and got married. And they did a great job. They, with COVID going on, took everyone's name, phone number. It was a very very small group of about 12 to 15 of us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they did temperature checks, hand sanitizer, like the works. And luckily, we were friends with a lady at the parish office, and she allowed Hubert and I to at least take photographs inside the church. That way, we still get that traditional, memory when we look back on this day, even though
Yeah.
the actual wedding was like in the playground, our school playground.
Wow. Well, I hope you got pictures of that too.
Yeah,
You know,
we did. Yeah.
well, good. Yeah, it's amazing how you have certain restrictions or barriers or things that have to be overcome, and then the creativity kicks in, and then
Yeah.
you have to like figure out, well, how are we going to make all this work?
Yeah.
And I think your wedding ceremony and reception that I was part of was really really beautifully done.
Thank you so much. You know, being a COVID bride, yeah, it is difficult, but we just couldn't be happier with like the outcome. We had a handful of last minute changes and decisions that included being our music, but at some point we just had to say, this is what we want. This is how we picture it, and you run with it. And I feel like we got very lucky that in the short amount of time, everything just all the details came out just right, how we had
Yeah.
dreamed.
Well, I really like the Ben and Ben first dance. No, that was what a great group.
Yeah, it was.
And
Go ahead. Sorry.
no, well, it's just your choices and everything. And I thought that the ceremony was absolutely beautiful. And here's what was very, oh, I don't know, important to me. And it's not necessarily important, but um, it's important to me. And that is that the coordination, the coordinator, um, gosh, what was his name?
Dustin.
Dustin. Oh
Yeah.
man, he was so calm. Okay.
Okay.
And he was so professional. And the ceremony, as people were walking in for the ceremony, we were playing the song. And it just seemed like right when the last person got into place, we were already at the end of the song, perfectly
Uh,
timed. I don't know if you timed it like that, but every single person that walked down and every single group of people walked down completed the song, and it just there was no editing. In other words, we didn't have to like end it abruptly in the middle of the chorus or something, you know.
I really love hearing that detail because, yeah, we are so involved in all the details going into the wedding, and then when it's the actual day, and as I'm sure you've experienced, you don't get to see it happen at all. So you just hear everyone's feedback afterwards, and I think you're right. I think they did an excellent job as planners, and it's possible they went the extra mile because they did have us, list out the songs. And it at the time they were just asking me all these questions, and I didn't understand, like, why do we need to know every single song? So it's very possible that they took that music, timed it out, and broke it down that way. Whether they did or not, it sounds like it worked out
Oh, it
perfectly.
totally worked out,
Yeah,
just beautifully.
that's great. Yeah.
And then I thought that for the first time in forever was, was like a perfect piece
Yeah.
for your recessional. And
Yeah.
yeah,
You suggested that to us, and that's, we were kind of stuck, and you were playing, I think, 2 to 3 songs for us, and we're like, this makes sense. Hubert worked on this movie, some of his friends worked on that movie, and they were like, we're so glad you chose this. The kids loved it. The 3 kids that were there loved it. So it was a good option.
so Hubert actually worked on that movie.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. Not the music, just the animation
Just
part.
the well, he's an artist, you know.
Yeah.
Now tell me, what do you do in your workaday life? What do you
Mine, I work in technology, like, super, I wouldn't say boring, but technology and finance, but I'm also in entertainment. Hubert's in entertainment, but he's an actual, like, part of the creative side. So
well, yeah. So the company you work for, is it a creative type of a company? Is it a
yeah, it's also an entertainment. It's now becoming a telecom company, but it was basically, I work at Warner Brothers and Hubert works at Disney.
look at that. Even though you work in the with numbers and stuff like this, I think that you have some great artistic choices.
Yeah.
How you were able to put together the your requests and your selections, and then just the well, okay, you ordered the uplights, and the uplights I think were perfect for the presentation, and just yeah, I just the aesthetic wave that occurred, the choice of the location, like you really stuck to your guns. That was the thing that I wanted to say to you, is that I think you had a vision, uh, which it takes an artist to really have a vision. Yeah, some people don't have a clue about what's going to happen or how it's going to happen, but I think you really predicted and had an idea of how you wanted it, and then it was just like all unfolding in front of me just beautifully, and I just went, yeah, look at that, look at that, look at that.
I think what I learned, or what I realized, is, we work with a lot of vendors and people who help us make this happen. And, I think, I'll be honest, I didn't have a complete clear vision of how it would look, but we didn't, there was no point where we were just like, okay, we're whatever, go with it. We were quite involved in a lot of the details, and we're just fortunate they all kind of came together. And I think some people forget, it's like, you guys are here as part of our wedding to fill in the gap and enhance our wedding, but as the bride and groom, we forget it's like, hiring people as part of our wedding, again, it's just like an enhancement, but it's still our wedding. So we do have to, we can't, when this is all over, we don't get to blame that this coordinator or this musician or this florist did not do a great job. It's like, no, at the end of the day, I had to make those decisions of what's, you know, unique to our personality or what, and taking, I guess, that ownership of, you know, at some point we're like, you guys are the experts in this. You're going to give us recommendations. You're going to guide us. And I think, you know, you guys presented a lot of tools that were very helpful in terms of the planning. Like you guys were on top of saying, this is the sequence that we've seen based on all of our experience. This music goes well with your guys's, you know, relationship. In terms of planning, you want to have 2 ceremonies. This is probably, you know, maybe you can do this in one ceremony and incorporate this other idea in the other, you know, and it really just all came together. And I think it came with just like everyone working as a team and no one, like, you know, no one kind of pressuring anyone to, it just, when it felt right, we ran with that decision without being like, okay, you guys, we have 1 week. What are we going to do? Like in panic mode. I feel like that's when you lose sight of like the, you know, the bigger picture.
Yeah. Well, my role in this is to support the bride, is to support you. And that sometimes, yes, it's a very overwhelming thing I can see for a bride, for anyone who hasn't been married before. I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
And that what I like to do is I like to, as I'm talking to the couple, you know, find out, well, what do they like, and what are their choices, and when I start to get more of that information, then I go, oh, okay, I figure out ways that I can support that. You know,
Yeah.
it's not about me,
Yeah.
and so it's just kind of like we're creating, as vendors, I think that we're creating an atmosphere and opportunities for amazing toasts, by the way. You know, your
Yeah.
best man, you know, who just it was he was funny, something like that, just what he
The
said.
man, the 130.
130 pounds, and he's still 130 pounds.
No, they're, you know, we met when you were a 140-pound boy to the 130-pound man you are today or
That's right.
something.
Yeah, something like that. It was just like, what a perfect, you know, choice of words. And
Yeah.
it really showed, you know, as a master of ceremonies, I mean, I can only introduce somebody who knows you, and then they're going to say the cool things, you know,
Yeah.
and which did happen. And and then, yeah, your father-daughter dance, and just, you know, your dad's speech and stuff like that. It was really great.
Yeah. It was, and you know what? I actually really appreciated when you and I worked together prior to our wedding. You were kind of going through the skit, and you reminded me of all the key elements of a wedding reception, and that does include the toast. And originally, due to all the limitations and restrictions we were having, like, you know, and it's not the venue's choice. That was just what's the city's guidelines that we had to follow, and you
Yeah, yeah.
reminding us that, like, you know, what about that was something we were going to wait to do after and just make it personal. But you know, in hindsight, that we were able to squeeze that 15 minutes and share that with all of our guests, it really made it like a wedding experience for everyone. They loved hearing the toast, and we love that we can look back and share that with more than, you know, with our family and our friends. So I'm glad that in our timeline you kind of made sure we had that extra 15 minutes to make it happen.
Thank you. Well, I felt that there was this was just for me though, but I felt though we had a 2-hour block of time to
Yeah.
make this happen in, it was very complete to me.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't change a thing, you know. It,
Yeah.
it was just the way it happened.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I
We
saw
can
there were
dance.
some, yeah, there were some people there that I could see were real dancers, and that they would really go crazy
Yeah.
on the dance floor
Yeah.
later on, you know.
Yeah.
And so we really didn't have that, although
Yeah.
we did have the traditional dances, which were very um, very tender and very meaningful, I think.
Yeah.
But I could see that you just had a really good bunch of people there that really supported you.
Yeah.
You know, they put up with a lot of stuff, as you did, you
Yeah.
know, just to make this happen, and so they were there for you. And I thought that was uh, the real role of family and the real role of friends is to support.
Yeah, I think we really were lucky. I think not just the friends and family that were there in person, but the family and friends who couldn't be there with us and had to make the tough choice of not being there for us. I mean, looking back, I think what alleviated so much stress is just for us is first making that decision that we were going to have this wedding, but having it in the safest way possible, where after the wedding and I mean, knock on wood, but it's past the time now. But 2 weeks later, we found that luckily everyone was okay. And I
Yay!
can't say that other. And I hope you were too. You're probably one of the people we didn't ask. I hope you guys were fine after.
We're fine. Yeah, we're
Were
fine.
you
No, nobody got
great?
sick.
So
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest hurdle we had to overcome in making this decision. And I think I just appreciate everybody's willingness to comply and follow that so that we could still look back at it as a memorable day without carrying a guilt that we feared we would have to carry. And so I've had friends go to weddings after ours, and unfortunately, some of them did test positive because they were, during our wedding, I felt very like, it's not like I'm usually like, yeah, whatever you want to do, but this one we could not bend on. And it's that nothing, it's something we don't regret because today we're just really, we could still say, gosh, that was the best day ever.
It
And no
was.
one's disinviting us to anything because we got their parents sick or something, which was really our worry.
Got
Yeah.
it. Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
there was a family that I worked with who had got married in July, and they had it was an outdoor wedding, and they kept tabs also on all of their guests,
Okay.
and they called up each one, you know, and how you feeling? You know, you're doing okay, and this type of thing, and yeah, no one got sick. Yeah,
Okay,
so
good.
that
That's
was
good to hear.
so thank you for caring and thank you for, you know,
Yeah.
being proactive in that way.
Yeah.
Uh, wow, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then now have you? All right. So I after the wedding reception, in other words, we did the what we did. Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, the food was
Mhm.
absolutely amazing.
Great. That was also a last minute decision. I'm glad it worked out.
How did that? How so?
Hubert and I really love beef Wellington. Like whenever we're in Vegas, we go to this place called Hell's Kitchen by Gordon Ramsay. And, we actually we were working with Little Lily's Kitchen, and they're great. They were going to cater our 120-person wedding, and they actually had made custom like beef Wellingtons for us, and they had done an excellent job. But because but their meal wasn't just like a meal, it was an entire experience. And so because we weren't able to host our 120 guests, and because our guests wouldn't be able to have the experience because it was just going to be in a box that they sent home, what we did is we moved Little Lily's beef Wellington to our reception dinner the night before. And we had what is it, Cat and Fiddle. Someone had gifted us that for our wedding shower, and we're like, oh my gosh, this tastes good. And they already come in pre-packaged boxes. How do we get 50 of these for our wedding? And so the week before, we moved our wedding dinner to our rehearsal, and we got those takeout boxes, and it was just, we loved it. And I think there was also a charcuterie pack with
Yes.
like cheese and crackers that was
Yes.
recommended by Dustin's company, the Three Little Birds Coordinating. It's called Bite Catering, and they suggested that as an appetizer. And so we unfortunately didn't get a chance to have any of it because we had to like run out. But we hope that everyone enjoyed their meal. It sounds like.
Oh, totally, totally. What was a really neat thing to come home
Yeah.
and to have this. It was just
Okay.
like it was so, and then my son got one and I got one,
Great. Yeah.
and yeah, it was wonderful.
That's
Then
good.
then right after that, and you guys left. Where did you go?
We went to Santori in it's between like Hollywood Hills and Burbank, I guess. It's on Forest Lawn Drive, right behind the Warner Brothers studio. And they have this outdoor patio. They have two outdoor patios on Saturday and a tennis court that they set up for outdoor dining. And we were lucky enough to reserve one of their patios that can fit 24 people max. So we invited our immediate family and our bridal and our wedding party to just kind of relax, drink, eat, drink all you want and kind of just sit back because it is the, 6 feet restaurant is following their guidelines. So all we have to do is show up and not worry about anything.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. And so it's called Santori or Centauri?
Santuari. So it's Santuari. And they are open from Wednesdays to Sundays at various times. So and their food there was delicious. I saw all the guys try to take down like an $80 steak. Like I didn't have the appetite to eat that much, but it was a like a 3 or 4 course meal, and it was great also.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow, that's
Yeah.
great. Holy
So
smokes.
we surely had a complete wedding. I don't think there was anything, you look back and it's selfish to say I don't know how much. I think what allowed us to have a traditional wedding amidst COVID is just at the end of the day, just not going against the grain, complying with what we're supposed to go with, and then just working on top of that. But I think had we fought anything, that would have made it a lot more difficult for us to build our vision. It's like you just kind of, this is what I can't do. Okay, but I can do this, and kind of run with that path. And that helped us. We had a complete wedding. We missed the dancing, and that's, we wish we could have danced with our friends, but we had our father-daughter dance and our first dance, so it was as complete as a wedding could be.
People who are planning a wedding would be so glad to hear what you just said,
Yeah.
about the completeness of this, and then how it was really something really. Is there any recommendations or like a advice or something like that that you could help calm
Yeah.
brides or something like this, or just you I know that you had accomplished a beautiful wedding in very difficult circumstances, and you had fun doing it, I think, too,
So yeah. I guess lucky for my husband, the job that I do is project management. So just making sure all these little pieces kind of come as a whole. I know I said finance and technology, but I guess my function is actually project management. So it's working with different teams and kind of end to end planning. But what and the way I handle that, you always start with a plan and a budget, and you don't wait till last minute. Those are the three things in every project that I have to be involved in. Like, because if it's last minute and you always go over budget and you panic, and because you panic and then you miss a lot of things, and then you just have to spend for it in the end. But I think remain calm, enjoy it. It is everything everyone says it is. It goes by way too fast. So enjoy the planning. Don't, get involved in the details. And I like what you had wrote on your website of like, invite the people you care about. Don't worry about, a lot of family and friends are going to tell you what to do and not to do. But I guess the benefit about having a COVID or a wedding during this time, it's about you and what you and your fiance's what you guys want, because now we have not necessarily an excuse, but really you only have a handful of people you can invite in, and so it really has to be people that you care about, and you also don't want to exclude the people who can't be there. So if to the extent you can have, a live stream wedding, um, it's a mutual appreciation of, I really appreciated seeing my family and friends join virtually, and they also appreciate being a part, showing their support to be there for you guys. And something that I learned is, like, I did not sleep the week before wedding. We also didn't get time off from work. Like, Hubert was working every Saturday leading up to it. So have a cutoff date. Like, get involved in as much detail as you want, but like the day or two before your wedding, just let it be. Like, you've planned as far as you've gotten. You just have to make sure you're well rested for your big day. So that's helped, I think.
Yeah, it was great.
Thank you. And it was, we were so happy to have you guys there. We only got to hear it from a distance, so we're still waiting on the footage. But, from what we heard, and from our guests' feedback, again, the music was so beautiful. And gosh, I'm just so glad we were able to find the keyboard and cello combo we were looking for last minute, and somehow also have a DJ to shift over to our, like, really quick reception afterwards. So thank you very much, Eric. It was great. I think the week of our wedding was both of our busiest days. So we both came back from a 3-day mini moon in Santa Barbara,
A
which
mini
was,
moon.
yeah, mini moon. No, I don't. Is that what it's called? I don't. There's, yeah, it's a mini moon, because when you have a honeymoon for a baby, it's called a baby moon, I think. So this one's a mini moon, no baby yet. And yeah, so once we got back to work, it was actually a lot quieter, which was, we needed some quiet time after the whole wedding planning.